My name is Jonan Kiirya from Makerere University Business School in Uganda. I want to thank you so much, Center for Business and Economic Research, for the opportunity given to us to be part of this conference on restructuring of the global economy. Indeed, it's a very big opportunity for us. I'm going to present a paper that is titled "The Role of Knowledge Management in the Relationship Between Disaster Management and Farm Performance in Small Businesses in Uganda." I have my author, because me, I'm a co-author. My author is Associate Professor Jannati Kyogabiirwe. Now, to take you through the structure, we shall have the introduction, literature review. We shall look at the methodology, results. We shall have the discussion, conclusion, and briefly we shall look at the limitations of this study. Now, the introduction, knowledge management, looking at its relationship with disaster management and farm performance of small businesses in Uganda. We looked at what this would mean, because knowledge management and when you compare it in small businesses is still a little bit lacking so much. So we looked at disaster management in form of organization and management of resources and responsibilities, which help us to deal with all humanitarian aspects of emergencies. Okay, so in this, you look in particular at the preparedness in terms of disaster preparedness, disaster response, and disaster recovery. So with the aim of lessening the impact of the disaster whenever it occurs. Now, going forward, you realize that also when it comes to the financial performance of these small businesses, it is a subject to measure of how well the farm can use its assets from its primary mode of the business to generate revenues. Here in Uganda, when you look at the disaster management, Uganda being a third world country, disasters, when they hit, it is a whole another thing to talk about. You see, small businesses in Uganda are already struggling with the economy being growing at a very slow rate. And now, when we are hit by the pandemic in form of a disaster, it became a very, very big issue. So you find that most businesses are closed due to the restrictions that were put in place by the government on the advice of the World Health Organization. Restrictions like curfew, which was starting at 9 and 9. Then at the beginning, it was starting at 7. All these plus other restrictions, laying off of staff because businesses were not operating. It meant that a large number and a large portion of our population in Uganda was not in the market economy, because their power to consume was lessened, it was down, because they were not working and therefore they did not have disposable income to spend. And these were mainly the customers, the clients of these small businesses. So this takes me now to looking at what knowledge management is. Knowledge management refers to the knowledge acquisition, knowledge sharing, knowledge application. Now, in our small businesses, this was not the case, because most of our small businesses did not use, don't have these knowledge management structures which they can use to help themselves redefine the businesses. Because as I talk right now, many businesses have closed, especially when it comes to small businesses, and of which these small businesses form the largest portion of the economy here in Uganda. Okay, now moving to literature review. maybe one thing to note is that this is an ongoing project. It is not concluded yet, so we are still, ongoing with the study. Now, we've reviewed a number of literature concerning these variables, the knowledge management, disaster management, farm performance, small businesses, and we've reviewed literature also to begin with on the theoretical foundation, considering two major theories to support this study. One, which is the resource-based theory, and also the complex adaptive theory. Considering the resource-based theory, when the pandemic hit, what the organizations or these small businesses, one of the things that were hit so much were their resources. Starting with the human resources, going to other resources, time and finances, all those resources were affected. So that's why we opted to also incorporate in the resource-based theory to support the study, and also the complex adaptive theory. This pandemic being a new phenomenon that no one had never studied about, it came as something new. So it was very complex for these small businesses. That's why we also incorporated in the resource-based theory. Knowledge management and farm performance, these two areas have been widely studied by scholars from the literature we reviewed. These were widely studied, but disaster management, and especially this COVID-19, was not or hasn't been widely studied, and we do not have so much conclusive studies that have been carried out on this particular phenomenon. So, in the interest of time, I'm going very fast. You can ask me. I will slow down if I'm anyway very fast. So from there, we move to the research methodology. Under this, our research design, we use the cross-sectional, both the quantitative and qualitative, and our study population includes all small businesses in the Association of Small and Medium Enterprises in Uganda. And our sample size is 250 small businesses. We are using, or we are going to use questionnaires, both online and self-administered, as the method of data collection, but as well as use of interviews with the owners of these small businesses, or those that may be recommended by the owners of small businesses. So that's what we shall be using. How we hope to measure our variables. We are going to measure the disaster management using the emergency management executive. We shall measure financial performance using the GABA 2020 measures. We shall adopt that, and also for knowledge management, we shall adopt the DAMAG 2005 instrument. In our discussion from the literature that we've reviewed, we have explaining this, the relationship between the various variables that we looked at. It was revealed that by Sarah and the colleagues in 2005, knowledge management and growth of small businesses indicated that there was a higher level of knowledge management maturity found to correlate positively with long-term sustainable growth. Okay, and looking at Sarah and Peter, who conducted their survey in 2014, in their meta-analysis study, found that disaster on average have a negative impact in terms of direct costs and insignificant impact in terms of indirect costs. So here in Uganda, for example, so many businesses have had a direct cost by closure. Others have lost staff, others the CEOs and important people in management have died due to COVID-19. So there are many indirect costs that have happened in there. And indirectly or insignificantly, you may talk of the value chain disruptions and due to closure of borders and all that. But this study, their meta-analysis study, discovered or established that the direct costs had an average negative impact on these businesses. Going forward, we and Chu in 2013, when they were also carrying out their study on the peculiarities of knowledge management processes in small businesses, they indicated that the enablers of knowledge creation process rested largely on the owners, innovativeness, creativity, and their ability to acquire knowledge of the industry. So this means that the owner's ability to be creative and the owner's ability to acquire knowledge about the industry within which they are operating their business was very key. Then Allocate and the colleagues in 2020 also suggest that small business can be significant in responding to disasters, such as donating materials, provide information, finance, and personal protective gears, or these can offer also good, they can offer them at a good price, or to promote business continuity and quick return to normal, especially when they cannot offer them for free, they can offer them at a relatively good price. But also, we are saying that this can also be very important in disseminating information, especially to their clientele lists, to their staff, and so on and so forth. Going on to the results, these results are based on a pilot. They are based on a pilot study that we conducted, and this is still ongoing. So it was found out that the results from the literature review indicated that there was a strong positive relationship between disaster management and knowledge management in small businesses. And also the results indicated that there was a positive relationship between disaster management and farm performance in small businesses. And also the results indicate that there is a strong positive relationship between knowledge management and farm performance in small businesses. Just like I mentioned, that this is an ongoing study, and when we are able to collect our own primary data, we shall be also sharing with you. But this was from the results were from the pilot study that we conducted. The limitations of the study, just like I mentioned earlier, from the research that we conducted, from the literature that we reviewed, the topics that have previously been discussed in this relation, they focused muchly on the multinational companies, with the little emphasis or efforts being directed to small businesses. This was a limitation in a way that it limited us on the literature available for us to review on the topics. However, like I said, data is going to be collected to support this study in future, and so we shall be able to come up with primary data that can support the variables that we've looked henceforth. Another limitation was selecting sample papers relevant to this study, because the challenge with this is that it was really very hard for us to find one single paper discussing the topic. So this also, in one way or the other, was a challenge to us. So in conclusion, we're saying that we cannot tell. Of course, as of now, there are various or numerous conclusions that a number of scholars they are coming up with from different research by different bodies, the World Health Organization and other bodies. While they are coming up with the conclusions about this, but here in Uganda, we are not yet very sure. We are not yet very sure on the long-term implications of COVID-19 when it comes to the performance of these small businesses. As you might be aware, here in Uganda, some businesses are still in lockdown up to now. Okay, up to now, 2 years down the road, they're still in lockdown, as you're aware. Because if we talk of small businesses, this includes also schools, private school owners. These are also part of the small business owners, and schools up to now, they are also still closed. So, whereas we may not be much aware about these long-term effects, but what we are sure of is that the levels of products that are produced by these small businesses in Uganda are still going to be down, and they still not have market. Why? Because people are not working, people's incomes are low, and so they do not have the capacity to consume, the capacity to purchase. And accordingly, with a lot of knowledge and information in saturation about this virus every day, there is Omicron variant, and I want to thank the international bodies. They are really coming out to share information about this. And so we are saying that the small business owners, they can take this advantage of the knowledge in saturation about COVID-19 to be able to use this information to better their businesses in this period, especially, so as to realize the financial continuity of their businesses. Just like I mentioned, because of this disaster, many businesses have seen their finances go down. So, unless we have questions.
Yeah.